How's it going, everyone? Another Nendoroid unboxing from me, but this time it's going to be of this particular character, Leona Kingscholar from Disney's Twisted Wonderland. So before I get into this, Disney's Twisted Wonderland, I have no idea what it's about. It's a Japan-only game for mobile devices, and basically I think you wake up, as a player character, you wake up in this world and you pick like a house. Kind of like Harry Potter, you pick your wizard school, and each house is kind of themed after a popular Disney animation. So Lion King in this case, then it'll be Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella, I think, and some other ones as well. And all the character designs look really cool. The houses have their own kind of reason why you want to join them, and the characters and students in them have some real cool designs to them. And so this appealed to me for just purely because I like the character design, and I really adore Lion King as a movie. And that combined, I was just like, yeah, I want to check out these Nendoroids. So this is the first one I'm going to check out of Twisted Wonderland. I will check out a couple others as well because, again, the character designs are very good. They're designed by the same person who worked on Black Butler. It's an anime, and I haven't seen that either, so I'm not familiar with it. But if you are, then you probably know what I'm talking about. They just look really, really cool. So packaging-wise, this is a really standard Nendoroid figure. You can see the window display showing you the figure quite clearly. Now, this guy, I believe, uses a staff as a main type of thing. Maybe inspired by Rafiki to an extent, I suppose. I'm really not sure which areas they're going to touch on in terms of Lion King or whatever it is, but I just like the character design. And then you got some other pieces. It comes with a chest piece, a flying disc, some hands, some faces hidden behind this bottom section here as well. But otherwise, pretty standard Nendoroid packaging here. By the way, this is an Aniplex exclusive, so it's a little bit tricky to get a hold of. But if you do buy it from there, you get this bonus badge as an incentive to get it. So it just comes with a chibi illustration of this character. So moving on to the side of this packaging, you've got more photos of the character. I believe these display effect pieces might be included as well. And then on the reverse, more pictures there, more on the other side as well. And then on the top, another picture down below, and another one finishing it off. So with Leona Kingscholar out of the box, here are the option parts and the figure. The figure's already attached to the base because of the tiny feet, and it doesn't balance so well on its own. Let's go through the option parts and then we'll go through the figure. So first, you do get a neck joint like most Nendoroid figures, and this is in the same flesh tone as the actual figure itself, which is nice to see. Here's a good smiley face as well. And then when it comes to the hands, the fists are already attached to the straight arms there, and then you get two extra right hands like so. So these are really tiny. Try not to lose them, and it can be fiddly when you do swap hands as well. So yeah, just do it in a safe environment, as in no like long kind of grass or anything. So you got one relaxed right hand like so here. All of them are going to have the black gloves painted on them. Pretty simple hands. And then this one here is going to be to grab something. So I use this or the another grabbing hand for the staff, and potentially you can use it for the chest piece as well. And you can see each individual finger is sculpted, and there's a thumb. The thumb is a little bit kind of clubbed off, but that is what it is. Then onto the other hands, which are already attached to some limbs. So this figure is not articulated at the arms or the legs like the Kingdom Hearts Nendoroids are. So I'm more used to those now rather than these. So it comes with complete limb swap. So you've got a right angle arm here for the right arm, and this has another hand attached to it like so. So this actually looks quite similar to the other hand I showed you, which can grab onto something, except each finger is not sculpted, and I don't know why that is. Plus the thumb is pointing upwards here. I personally use either or for grabbing the stuff that's lying down there, or the chest piece. I think the wider hand is maybe better for the chest piece, but yeah, I think you can use either or. The instruction leaflet will kind of tell you a specific hand, but yeah, I think you can be fine with either or. So for the other arms, there's another right arm, which is not as bent as the one I just showed you. And this hand here is a more relaxed kind of grabbing hand. So this is probably the one that you want to use for the chest piece instead. It's a little bit more relaxed and sculpted with each individual finger as well. And then the left arm is a little bit different because he has the bracelets here, which is nice detail on both arms, and even the straight one as well, which we'll show later on. And then the tattoo here, which is really cool as well. So this tattoo also exists on the other arm. So the left arm is quite different, and it's quite nice. It's quite nice attention to detail overall. So the hand here is actually more to rest on his hip, I guess, or more like a shrugging type of motion. So he only comes with one of these type of hands, the left hand only. It would have been nice if it was the right hand as well, but otherwise it's a nice looking arm, and this is probably a good way to show the tattoo in more detail than actually on the figure itself, but really cool. So Leona also comes with a spare leg as well, like so, with also the same colored joint. So the leg already attached to the figure, both of those legs are straight, and then he only comes with one right leg that is bent. So this is supposed to be used when he throws his magic disc, according to the box anyway, but you can probably use it for other things. So Leona Kingscholar also comes with two additional faceplates. The neutral one, which is already on the figure, looks great, and these two additional ones here. So on the left is going to be a more serious expression with the eyes slightly closed a little bit, and then on the right is one where they're all closed. I love the eye color of this figure and this character. The green on them is really vibrant, really stands out. Very cool expression on the face, on both faces, and you can see the attention to detail on them. You can see the scar going down the left eye on both of them, and then particularly on this left face here, or the right face, you've got a sweat drop right here as well. When you do attach it, you won't really see the sweat drop too clearly because of the hair of the character, but we'll get to that later on. But otherwise, these faceplates are really cool. Love the application, very clean as per typical Nendoroid standard. And then some of the other parts that this figure comes with. So he comes with a magic pen, which is apparently something this character does come with. I wasn't really sure what this was at first. I thought it might be a cigar, but that would have been a little bit weird given today's standards. I don't think Disney would be kind of signing it off, but then Japan rules are a little bit different. Yeah, I just wasn't sure what this was, so I had to look it up. So apparently Leona Kingscholar has a magic pen. Don't know what it really does, so maybe if you do know, leave a comment down below. But it comes with a magic pen that looks like this, very tiny as well, so don't lose it. And you can put this into one of the gripping hands. And it comes with a king chess piece. Being based on a Lion King, of course it makes sense to have a king chess piece as well. So this is again a tiny piece. Try not to lose it. It's not that much bigger than the actual magic pen, but still, yeah, just a lot of small pieces with this figure overall, so try not to lose anything. Very simple king piece there. I've dropped it, but I haven't lost it. It's right here. But it's a very simple king piece right there, and another addition to this one. Then we move on to the magic disc. So the magic disc is also this character, I think he uses the magic pen potentially to control the magic disc. I'm not 100% sure on that, but he has a magic disc which looks like this, just a plain red disc with a silver center. And on the other side, you need to put this little stand here on there. So the small kind of peg like that. And then you can just insert this into the smaller holes of the stand here. And then use the leg, this one here, to give him the throwing pose if you want to use that. Then he comes with this cool little staff, which is just laying there. So this cool staff is like so. And then you will use the gripping hand to also hold on to this, one of the 2 gripping hands or 3 gripping hands that he has. And here the details just kind of show you what that looks like. There's no major details on this other than the main paint blocking stuff, so the blue, yellow and white, and then the grey for the overall staff. And it's got something in the mouth, which I'm not sure what that is in terms of lore or anything when it comes to Twisted Wonderland, but a cool staff nonetheless. And then there were these effect pieces here when he uses his magic. So this is just actually sand apparently, so you can use those however you want. So I just kind of placed it around like so. And that brings us to the actual figure, which is already attached to the base stand, like I said, because of the tiny feet and the lack of balance for it. So I'm going to unplug that. It just goes into the back of the figure like so, in that hexagonal hole there. And this is just to look at that peg there. First things first with this Nendoroid is it looks really great. I love the detail that's going on with this character. Now the original designs are also great, and like I said earlier on, that's part of the appeal why I'm picking up these Nendoroids is they just look great. The character designs are amazing. They are done by the same person that worked on Black Butler, so if you did watch Black Butler or you liked that person's designs, that probably would be a reason for you to pick them up as well. So the translation to Nendoroid form is also looking really good here. Lots of stuff going on with this character, so we'll go through that. So first up with the face, great. We'll go top to bottom. It looks great so far. You've got a attention to detail with the ears here, which are sculpted very nicely here. On the hair, by the way, overall is very great because a little strand flicking out right here. When you do handle this figure, try not to handle this bit too much, even though it's pretty secure and snug. Just be careful, you still don't want to accidentally damage anything. But the hair looks great as well, really nice style. That goes from the really good design as a foundation thing, and then in terms of Nendoroid translation, it looks great as well. Long mane at the back. Of course, it would be a nice big mane, right? And then you got these little plated bits here down the side, which have the yellow bit here, and that's really nicely done as well. The hair being so big does make it awkward to swap his arms, and I'll get into that in a little bit more detail, but otherwise I love the way his hair looks. I love the original design of the hair, and it's done really nicely for this Nendoroid as well, so really good job there. The face, like I mentioned earlier on as well, just touched on it, looks great, just like the other 2 additional ones. The eyes are amazing with this guy. Like, I love the green on these eyes. They're just so beautiful, I think. And I love the little open smile that this guy's got, so you can see a little bit of his fangs. Real nice attention to detail there. You do have the scar going down the left eye, just here as well. And like I said, because his hair is quite long, it does kind of make that a little bit unclear to see. But it is there. You just kind of have to get a little bit close to it. Overall, though, the head and the face look great. I just love that you can see his fangs. That's just really cool. Then moving down a little bit, you can see his neck beads there. They're just simple color blocking down there. A little bit of sculpting, basic sculpting there for a necklace. And so nice attention to detail in general with his whole outfit. So you've got his leather waistcoat. I'm guessing it's supposed to be leather with the silver kind of painting for the buckles and so on and so forth. Another kind of chain there, gold chain there with his top in a sort of sand looking color, and then the paint details on that. Then he's got a little kind of sash skirt thing going on down here with a scar kind of house symbol. I guess I'm just going to call him a house symbol. I could be wrong with my technical terms, but oh well. And then yeah, that looks really good as well. Really tiny, but really nicely clean, application right there as well. So yeah, generally this is really done well so far. Kind of see the stitching happening here and different kind of color patterns going on. Really cool stuff. So I mentioned the tattoo on his left arm, which I gave you a close look before as well. So same thing on this arm, and then same thing again with the bangles here. Really cool stuff going on overall. And then finishing off with his pants, shoes, really good stuff. So he's got basically like cowboy slacks almost on, but they're done nicely as well. Like I said, you can swap it with this leg if you want to. Shoes are pretty basic, to be honest. Nothing special with the shoes. But like I said, he's got really tiny feet, so he can't really balance too great on his own. You can try it. You'll get some sort of neutral poses just standing on his own. Don't leave him like that for a long period of time. Take a couple of pictures and then put him back on the stand, because he just won't stand very well for a long time with just these tiny little feet, unlike Sora did from the Kingdom Hearts Nendoroid. So that's a shame, but it is what it is. And then we finish with his tail, by the way, which is articulated on a little ball joint. But this bit kind of gets in the way. Taking that out or putting the tail back in can be a little bit fiddly because this thing doesn't move too great. It's not like a soft plastic, but you can kind of move it just a little bit and then feed it in, and then give it a little bit of patience, and then you should slot back into the socket on his bum. All in all, really lovely looking Nendoroid. Love the way the figure has turned out. Really clean looking figure. Lots of stuff going on in terms of design. I love it. So in terms of articulation, as I touched on before, he's very limited compared to the Kingdom Hearts one, which are much more action Nendoroid. These ones are a little bit more static. So he's got a bit of head movement, like so, up and down, like so, and then looking left and right. And then the arms are going to be very fiddly because of his hair, and trying to get access to them can be a little bit tricky. If you've got big hands, then you might struggle with that. If you've got tiny fingers, then it might be a bit easier for you. So you can lift his arm up and around before it might come off at the joint there. Putting them back can be a bit fiddly, but we'll get into that a little bit more detail later. But yeah, limited range there. It just depends how far his head is turned, so you can get some extra range of motion if you turn it that way, for example. And then he's got a little twist at the torso right here, and then his legs are on little joints you can see there and inside there, and they kind of lift up a little bit. So move the tail a little bit if you want to increase the range of his leg just a little bit more. And then for the other leg, it's a little bit more restricted going backwards because of this stiff little skirt bit here. But it can move forward just a little tiny bit as well. And I forgot to mention a little twisting at the hands, which can happen on all the arms. So limited articulation with this figure. I think I'm preferring to have the action Nendoroids like the Kingdom Hearts ones now. But it is what it is. When it comes to swapping parts, it can be a little bit fiddly. So I'm going to go through this in a more kind of open and free way. No real kind of structure to this. So I mentioned earlier on that it can be fiddly to do the arms. So sometimes it's easier to just take off the hair first. So when you do take off the hair, try not to put your finger on this strand here because you don't want to damage anything. Just pull it at the front here on the sides. Sometimes the faceplate will come off with it. That's okay. And suddenly you see how much access you have to the arms now because you haven't got the great big mane attached to it. Now, because we're free to do that, just take off the arm and then you can swap in any other arm that you want to. So I'm going to swap in this right angle arm because it's the most different one, and then just plug that in to the socket like so, and you can have more free range to do it now, freedom to do it to get a nice snug fit, whereas with the hair on you may not get a snug fit because of access issues. Now with this hand, it's going to be for the staff. I'm going to leave that on there. Now depending on what part you're going to use for the hand, you can either put the staff on now or you can put it on later. For this example, I'm going to just put it on later on. Now because we've got the head off already, I'm going to change the faceplate to just push the faceplate out from the hair if it's stuck to it already, and then swap it to whichever one that you want. So I'm going to go with this one here where he's a little bit more serious looking and the mouth is closed, and actually just put that onto the actual figure first, plug that in there, and then add the mane to finish it off, and then there we go, he looks pretty good. Now we're going to add the staff. So because of the hair strand here is kind of already obstructing us, so just kind of move it a little bit or move it this way, and then let's grab the staff and then maneuver that into position. There we go, he's grabbing onto it, and there we go. So when you do it like this, you may run the risk of the hand detaching from the arm, which can be a bit fiddly and annoying sometimes, but that's just the way it is. So depends on how you want to do it. Either way, there's no right way to do it, but for me, I do recommend just taking off the hair, front hair piece, just to have better access to the arms. So with these two simple changes, you can see the kind of looks that you can get this figure into, and it's going to give you a decent amount of options, but it's going to be a little bit fiddly at the same time. Now what we can do is, we can take this staff back out, and then we'll take that hand off. So and then I'll swap it so he's going to be holding, say, the chest piece. So I've got the chest piece hand right here. So hopefully the chest piece will just kind of sit in his hand nicely. Just kind of sit that in there. It might not work so great being on camera and all that, but let's just give it a shot anyway. So it should just kind of hold a little bit. Might not be too snug. So again, if you're going to display this, watch your surroundings and get it ready, and then put it into your display cabinet or whatever it is, and try not to lose all the small parts that this figure does come with. Now, my personal favorite is to actually use this staff. I think it kind of highlights and brings out the character a lot more than just the chess piece. But if you're a really big fan of the character and, I don't know, his fan for chess or whatever it is, then you can use that if you want, or even use this flying disc if you want to. So when it comes to swapping the left arm, I recommend doing the exact same thing as I said before, is taking off the faceplate first and then swapping the left arm to this only other left arm that he's got, which is right here. So it should be a lot easier just by taking that off. It makes a big difference, I think, and just less hassle. Now, I think this figure has turned out great. It looks gorgeous overall. I love the overall design of it. I love the guy's face and the eyes, especially. Really nice, vibrant. A lot of detail packed into this tiny little Nendoroid figure. Now, I do like the original design, and I think Nendoroid have done a great job capturing the original Black Butler design for Twisted Wonderland characters, especially in this case, Leona Kingscholar as well. Now, for me personally, and this might apply to you as well, I am leaning more towards the articulated Nendoroids these days, so they allow for more dynamic poses. With this one, you don't get that, which is a bit of a shame. The option parts kind of provide decent alternatives. They still look quite good, but they're a little bit of a hassle and some frustration to get those option parts attached, and they detach as you're doing them. Bit fiddly to do it. You sometimes have restricted access because of the hair, the example I showed earlier on in the video. So those kind of things can kind of put me and others off a little bit, but you know, just kind of decide how much you love it. I think it still is worth getting this figure if you love the design and love Twisted Wonderland. I think go for it. But for me, it can be a little bit frustrating personally. The other frustration for some buyers will be that it's going to be an access thing. This is an Aniplex exclusive Nendoroid, so you have to use a third party to get it. I got mine from Ning Games, so it wasn't too bad, but other people might suffer and have a hard time getting it. So I'll try and put some links in the description of where you can try and buy this figure. So that's going to apply to, I think, all the Nendoroids from Twisted Wonderland at this point. But yeah, I like this figure overall. Some frustrations for me, but I think if you love the IP that is Twisted Wonderland, go for it. It's a nice looking piece in my opinion, and lots of detail, like I said, packed into it. I will cover some more other Twisted Wonderland Nendoroids as well, so stay tuned for when I do those as well. But if you enjoyed this, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.